With its honest portrayal of everyday struggles and hilarious hijinks, What's Happening became a must-watch for a generation. It followed three regular black teenagers growing up in the city, dealing with school, jobs, and girlfriends. The characters were easy to connect with, and the actors were so good you felt like you were right there with them. It was a different kind of sitcom back then, and it's still remembered fondly today. But sadly, some of the actors passed away after the show ended. So in this video, let's take a moment to remember them. Number 1. Fred Berry as Freddie Rerun. Stubbs Rerun from Family Matters is a funny character who's always trying his best. He might not be the brightest bulb, he gets stuck in school a lot, but he's got moves. Rerun loves to dance and dreams of being on TV commercials. He wears a bright red beret and suspenders, which definitely make him stand out. His friends tease him sometimes for his weight and grades, but Rerun doesn't let it get him down. He even gets a job working for ABC. His signature catchphrase is the enthusiastic, "What's happening? Gotta love Rerun." From dazzling audiences as a dancer with the Lockers to becoming a household name on the sitcom What's Happening, Fred Berry's charisma lit up the stage and screen. The sitcom, which ran for 3 seasons, launched Berry to stardom. The show, loved for its humor and relatable characters, remains a pop culture touchstone. Though Berry's journey wasn't without challenges, his talent and charm were undeniable. The show's success propelled him to national recognition. Though Berry stepped away from acting for a while, his love for the craft never fully dimmed. He returned to the screen in films like In the Hood and Dickie Roberts' former child star. Fred Berry passed away on October 21, 2003, at the age of 52. Number 2. Shirley Hemphill as Shirley Wilson. At Rob's place, the neighborhood hangout, one sassy waitress reigns supreme, Shirley Wilson. Shirley's not here to mince words. She's quick with a hilarious one-liner and a playful jab, especially when it comes to the guys, often engaging in good-natured, but pointed, weight-related banter with Rerun. The show occasionally delves into her own life, revealing her joys and sorrows with surprising depth. This unexpected vulnerability adds a new dimension to her character. And in a surprising turn of events, Shirley even becomes a temporary housemate for the Thomas family, taking on a guardian role for Dee after Raj's departure and Mrs. Thomas's temporary absence. Aspiring comic Shirley Hemphill impressed Flip Wilson with a mailed routine. His encouragement led her to Los Angeles, where she waitressed by day and honed her stand-up at the Comedy Store by night. By 1976, her talent landed her a role on Good Times, followed by the iconic "What's Happening? What's Happening?" Followed Three Friends at a local hangout, Rob's Place, where waitress Shirley Hemphill dished out laughs with her sassy charm. The show was a hit, but behind-the-scenes issues led to its cancellation. After What's Happening, Hemphill continued performing stand-up on shows like The Tonight Show and built a strong nightclub following. She returned to television in the What's Happening Now revival and landed guest spots on shows like Martin. Hemphill's comedic legacy extends beyond television. She performed throughout her career, becoming a regular at the Laugh Factory and gracing stages like An Evening at the Improv and Black Comedy Showcase. Sadly, on December 10, 1999, Hemphill was found dead at her home in West Covina, California, aged 52. Number 3. Mabel King as Mabel Mama Thomas. Raj's mom, Mabel, is the one who kept everyone in line, from Raj and Dee to Dwayne and Rerun. Mabel was pretty much the queen of the apartment. She always had wise advice and wasn't afraid to lay down the law. Even her ex-husband had a revolving door policy when it came to Mabel's life. But the thing is, Mabel wasn't always around. As the show went on, her appearances became less frequent, and eventually she disappeared completely. The show never officially wrote her out, and her character was still mentioned sometimes, but Mabel King decided to move on. Apparently, she wasn't too keen on the direction the show was taking. Mabel King carved a niche for herself in Hollywood with her comedic timing and infectious energy. Her career began on the big screen in films like Don't Play Us Cheap and The Bingo Long Traveling All-Stars and Motor Kings, where she shared the screen with legends like Esther Roll, Billy D. Williams, and James Earl Jones. King balanced her film work with appearances on television shows like What's Happening? She further showcased her versatility on stage, taking on the role of the Wicked Witch of the West in the Broadway musical The Wiz, alongside Diana Ross. Moviegoers were treated to King's comedic talents throughout the late 70s and 80s. She brought laughs in films like The Jerk with Steve Martin, The Gong Show Movie, and Getting Over. She even reprised her role from The Jerk in the TV movie sequel The Jerk 2. Sadly, Mabel King passed away in November 1999 at the age of 66. However, her legacy of laughter continues to bring joy to audiences. Number 4. Fritzy Burr as Miss Collins. Miss Collins didn't tolerate fools. Not in her classroom, not on the pages of the school paper she sponsored. Her brand of history wasn't a dusty parade of dates. It was a battlefield of ideas, where critical thinking was the weapon and engagement was the only acceptable surrender. As an experienced teacher, Miss Collins imparts wisdom and life lessons to her students. Her guidance extends beyond academics, touching on personal growth and character development. Beneath her stern exterior, Miss Collins genuinely cares about her students' well-being. She supports them during challenging times and celebrates their achievements. Fritzy Burr cut her teeth making audiences laugh. For 20 years, she did stand-up and sketch comedy, honing her comedic timing. In 1967, she hit the big time on Broadway, snagging the role of Mrs. Bryce in Funny Girl after another actress left. Hollywood came calling, and Fritzy Burr wasn't one to miss an opportunity. She headed west and started landing gigs on TV. Her first sitcom appearance was on That Girl in 1970, and that same year she made her film debut in a rom-com with Jackie Gleason. Fritzy Burr became a familiar face on TV, appearing in over 50 roles on tons of different shows. Movies weren't her main focus, but she did snag a part in the classic film Chinatown, proving she could do serious drama, too. She was married to Aaron Heyman. Sadly, she died of natural causes on January 17, 2003, in Fort Myers, Florida. She was 78. Number 5. Thalmus Rasulala as Bill Thomas. Bill Thomas is a ghost. Well, not literally. More like a recurring nightmare for the Kendricks. This charming yet unreliable ex-husband and father to Roger and Dee waltzes back into their lives, leaving a trail of financial woes and unresolved issues. Though later episodes paint a more positive picture. Culminating in his marriage, Bill's presence remains a source of tension, especially with Roger. Even after disappearing from the show, his shadow lingers, resurfacing in the sequel series What's Happening Now? With a strained father-son reunion. Thalmus Rasulala, a towering figure with a booming voice, left his mark on both stage and screen. His career began in the vibrant world of New York theater in the 1960s, but under the name Jack Crowder. Rasulala showcased his vocal talents in off-Broadway musicals like Fly, Blackbird, alongside Robert Guillaume, and even The Fantastics. His Broadway debut in Hello, Dolly was a triumph, earning him a prestigious Theatre World Award for his portrayal of Cornelius Hackle. Television audiences also had the pleasure of seeing Rasulala's talent. He appeared on shows like What's Happening and delivered powerful performances in the TV movie The Autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman and the iconic miniseries Roots, where he played Kunta Kinte's father, Omoro. Sadly, he died on October 9, 1991, from a heart attack in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Number 6. Ray Vitte as Gene Politics and the 100-meter dash might seem like an odd pairing, but for Gene Rabbit Walker, they were just another hurdle to clear. This brainy University of Southern California student, a political science major with lightning-fast legs, briefly rented a room from the Tanners. While his stay was short-lived, His presence left a lasting impression on D, whom he bestowed with the nickname Small Portion. Unfortunately, Rabbit's time with the Tanners was as fleeting as his track times, leaving his future, both in politics and on the team, a mystery. Ray Vitte was a busy actor in the 70s and early 80s. He bounced between movies and TV shows, landing roles in comedies like Car Wash and Up in Smoke. He also showed up in musicals like Thank God It's Friday and dramas like A Force of One. Vitte wasn't afraid of variety. He did a TV movie about a Santa Claus impersonator and another about a football player at Grambling State. He even had a part in a show with David Cassidy. Towards the end of his career, Vitte landed roles in some bigger movies, like the office comedy 9 to 5 and the crime thriller Cruising. He also appeared in a few more TV movies before his last TV role on the show The Quest. Sadly, Vitte died of complications from sickle cell disease on February 20th, 1983. He was 33. Number 7. Helen Martin as Millie. Millie, a neighborhood treasure, had a smile that could melt away any worry. The aroma of freshly baked cookies often wafted from her open window, a silent invitation to anyone in need of a warm hug or a delicious treat. Teenagers, drawn by her genuine interest and endless supply of chocolate chip cookies, would gather on her porch, sharing stories and seeking her sage advice. When faced with a recent health scare, Millie's spirit never faltered. Her determination to recover, coupled with her witty one-liners, even inspired the young folks around her. Millie, a bridge between generations, fostered understanding and empathy, encouraging them to learn from the past while embracing the present. Helen Martin was a fantastic African-American actress who started out back in the 40s. She helped create a theater company in Harlem, then landed a big part on Broadway in a famous play called Native Son. While she loved the stage, she also started acting on TV and in movies later on. Her first movie was a real eye-opener, a tough crime story called The Phoenix City Story, back in 1955. Then things were quiet for a while, but she came back strong in the 70s. You might remember her from funny shows like Good Times. She played the neighbor, Wanda, and 227 as Pearl. She brought her fun energy to movies, too, like Doc Hollywood and I Got the Hookup. Helen Martin passed away in 2000, but she left behind a great legacy of entertaining folks for decades. Number 8. Greg Morris as Lawrence Nelson. Dwayne, a regular guy with a megawatt smile, could brighten anyone's day. He wasn't afraid of a little hard work and always saw the glass half full, even when facing challenges. Loyalty was his middle name, especially when it came to his buddies Raj and Rerun. Their tight-knit crew was a constant reminder of the importance of friendship. Education was important to him, a way to pave his future. Dwayne's style was all his own, a funky mix of colorful hats, vests, and bell-bottoms that screamed 70s. It was a reflection of his personality, unique and full of life. After high school, Greg Morris served in the Army for a few years. Then he set his sights on acting, studying at universities and landing on the stage in Seattle. Though his roles were mostly small, they caught the eye of Hollywood. He scored guest spots on shows like The Dick Van Dyke Show and even the spooky Twilight Zone. His big break came in 1966 with the spy series Mission Impossible. He played Barney Collier, the tech whiz who could fix anything. Even after the show ended, Greg stayed busy on TV. He popped up on sitcoms like Sanford and Son and The Jeffersons. He eventually landed another regular role as a cop on Vegas in 1978. Greg even reprised his role as Barney for the 1980s Mission Impossible reboot, with his son even joining the cast. Though he wasn't a fan of the 1996 movie version, Greg's legacy as Barney Collier lived on. Sadly, he passed away at 62 after battling cancer. Number 9. Nathaniel Taylor as Ike, a gust of wind and a muttered proverb. That's how Ike usually arrived. He wore mismatched socks and seemed to notice everything with his two different colored eyes. You'd see him perched on a park bench, like a grumpy little statue, listening in on everyone's conversations. Somehow, Ike knew everyone in the neighborhood. His cryptic comments hinted at all these hidden connections he had with people. He was definitely odd, showing up at random and acting strange, but that's what made him funny and added to the light-hearted feel of the show. Nathaniel Taylor may not have been a household name, but fans of Sanford and Son will always remember him as Lamont's cool best friend, Rollo. Though his career started in the late 60s with small roles, Taylor landed his big break in 1972. That's when he joined the cast of Sanford and Son and became a regular for all 6 seasons. While Sanford and Son was his most recognizable role, Taylor kept busy throughout the 70s. He appeared in blaxploitation films, guest-starred on shows like Adam 12, and even landed the lead role in the 1977 film Passing Through. He even reunited with Red Fox for the short-lived Sanford revival. The 80s saw fewer roles for Taylor, but he did appear in Steve McQueen's final film and even had a guest spot on The Red Fox Show. He made his final screen appearance in a short film in 2016. Sadly, he died from heart attack complications on February 27, 2019. Number 10. Danny Wells as Bert Frederick. Bert Frederick serves as a plainclothes police officer. His role involves maintaining order and safety in the neighborhood. As a law enforcement officer, Bert pays attention to details. His cautious demeanor reflects the seriousness of his job. Bert's regular appearances contribute to the show's portrayal of the neighborhood. He interacts with other characters, bridging the gap between law enforcement and the community. While enforcing rules, Bert also shows empathy. He balances authority with understanding, emphasizing community well-being. From charming bartender to iconic video game hero, Danny Wells is a jack-of-all-trades in Hollywood. Kicking off his career in the 70s, Wells landed roles on shows like Columbo and Starsky and Hutch. But it was his portrayal of Charlie, the friendly bartender on The Jeffersons, that made him a familiar face. His talents extended beyond live action. In 1989, Wells brought Luigi to life and lent him his voice in The Super Mario Bros. Super Show. He continued to voice characters for cartoons like Johnny Bravo and video games like Splinter Cell Chaos Theory. He even graced the big screen with a role in the critically acclaimed film Magnolia. Whether in live action, animation, or video games, Danny Wells's voice and charisma continue to entertain audiences. Sadly, Wells died in Toronto on November 28, 2013, of cancer at the age of 72. Number 11. Rosalyn Cash as Loretta. Don't underestimate Shirley Wilson, the sassy queen of Rob's Place. Her colorful head wraps and infectious laugh are a beacon at the neighborhood soda shop. Beneath her tough exterior, Shirley has a heart of gold, especially for the regulars, particularly the teens. They flock to her for her legendary milkshakes, her even more legendary advice, and of course, her sharp wit. When a group of rowdy teenagers gets a little too loud, Shirley can silence them with a withering look and a quip like, "You boys need more manners than ketchup on a plate." Shirley's the glue that holds Rob's Place together, the confidant and the dispenser of wisdom. Unapologetically herself, she's a vibrant part of the community. Intense and talented, Linda Cash wasn't just a leading lady of the 70s, she was a captivating actress throughout her career. Starting in New York City, Cash honed her craft as a nightclub singer before captivating audiences on stage. In 1968, she joined the prestigious Negro Ensemble Company, a launching pad for her big break. Cash's career spanned across mediums. She graced the silver screen in films like Uptown Saturday Night and even battled Charlton Heston in The Omega Man. But her passion extended to television, where she tackled challenging roles. From Shakespeare's King Lear to James Baldwin's Go Tell It on the Mountain, Cash brought depth and power to culturally significant stories. Cash never shied away from diverse projects. She appeared in powerful miniseries like Guyana Tragedy and showcased her range in the Melvin Van Peebles drama The Sophisticated Gents. Even later in her career, she brought strength and wisdom to General Hospital and a touch of horror to Tales from the Hood. Linda Cash's legacy extends beyond her impressive filmography. She leaves a mark as a versatile and unforgettable actress. Cash never married nor had children. Sadly, she died of cancer on October 31, 1995, at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles, California, aged 56. What are your favorite What's Happening characters? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more classic sitcom tributes. See you next time.